Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint, episode 117, where we'll be looking at UK news. We've got 6 different stories we're going to be looking into, plus 2 funny videos to add on top, guys. Links in the description for all of tonight's coverage. Good evening, Billy Kershaw. Q? Is it Q? I hope I've said your name right, QE. Welcome. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Pete's Music. Always jamming the Pete's Music. Good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Jao, one of our moderators there. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you are doing well. Guys, do check out Jao's YouTube channel as well. When are me and you going to have a chat, my friend? When are you going to come on to do a YouTube chat, me and you, mate? Let me know at some point. I need to find another way of talking to you privately. I want to get you on for a round, well, not a round table, that's probably too much for you, but maybe just the 2 of us on a live stream together at some point. I want to do that with you if it's possible. Yes, and also, guys, just aware, we're not just live on YouTube, we're also live on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/Reganelite1. Don't worry, I've got the Twitch chat up, so if anybody's in the Twitch chat, they can say hello as well. Don't be shy. Just a quick little thing just for everyone's reference here. So, my voice struggled to do the 4 videos that are coming out tomorrow and Wednesday on the channel. And I wanted to do videos for Patreon and Rumble, but my voice was cracking up a little bit. And so I had to stop, and I needed to give it a break. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to record any content for Patreon and Rumble this week just because of how my voice is doing. I'll try tomorrow to see if I can record maybe 1 or 2. I know I don't get many views on them. I mean, like, I get less than 10 views, but I still, you know, they're still, I still feel they're important to talk about. But I'll try. I might try and record 1 or 2 tomorrow for people on there because I have over 121 followers on Rumble as well. So, there. And it's quite chilly in here, guys. I don't have the heating on as well, so it is a bit of a chilly night as well. Right, let's get started with the show, guys. And just a final reminder, I'll remind you guys a bit later on as well. Excuse me. I'll be on the Discord after chat for maybe about an hour at most, depending on what time we finish as well. So if you guys want to join me on the Discord for a little bit, you're more than welcome to as well. So I want to start with this story here, because obviously immigration has been the main subject of discussion all day today, if you guys have been paying attention to a lot of things. And I wanted to cover this story here. So, a disabled Nigerian man who's been living in the UK for 38 years wins an appeal against deportation. So, Anthony, I can't say his middle name, but Anthony George there, who arrived in 1986. So, he's older than I am. I wasn't even born when he arrived here. And has no criminal convictions, given rights to remain. Okay, now this person here, I'm going to read his story in a bit, guys. But this is the kind of people that Nigel Farage wants to deport, specifically him and his party. And I want to make this clear that that this is not what every single reform voter thinks. Not every single reform voter thinks, oh, that all these people, that people like this who have been here for decades and decades should be deported. They're talking about recent, I would say the last 10, 20 years, I would say, they're people who are coming in illegally. You know, this is a man who's been here for a very long time. You know, 1986, guys, is a very long time. And we'll share his story a little bit because he's had some troubles as well. There's also this other point that I've heard that you will start to hear from, unfortunately, from some very dark forces, especially people on the far right. Well, they'll basically claim that this man's story is completely made up. It's completely false. It's just a deny. And it's like, from my point of view, it's like, well, how do you know? How do you know this man's story? You don't know that. You just quite frankly don't. So there will be some people like that, unfortunately. Alison Keir, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well, my friend. You've been busy moderating. I know, but I think both you and Jao were moderating All Shorts' live stream earlier. These random live streams as well. So you will start to see that from people on the far right, where you'll hear stories like this, and they will dismiss them and say, "Oh, they're just making up whatever stories they can to stay in the UK." And they'll start saying this about legal migrants. They'll start saying this about normal people who just aren't white, and say, "Oh no, they're not British." They'll start just making all these stories up consistently. And these are Nigel Farage is not targeting specifically these people yet, but he will go after them. There is a story I shared with I don't know if Max will cover it in the video, but there was a caller from LBC from Romania called in. I believe it was today. Spoke to Sheila, and basically this Romanian who's been in the UK. He's got a baby on the way. He's got a mortgage. He's got a wife, family. He's going to have a family, obviously, because his first child's on the way. And he spoke about how much he loved. And in his conversation, he said, I love pub culture. And he said that he loved England. He said that he loved Britain. And he generally said that. And the rhetoric that he hears is very, very scary to him. And it says it doesn't represent what he sees. And unfortunately, you're going to hear more of that. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about the bit later on about Nigel Farage's plans, because we touched on it this morning anyway. But it when you hear stories like this, someone who has been here for a long time and they just want to get rid of them for whatever reason, it's really not good at all. Personally, impersonator, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. So let's read this man's story, guys. So a disabled Nigerian man who has lived in the UK for almost 40 years has won an appeal to stay in the country despite the Home Office wanting to deport him. Sir Anthony George, 63, he came to the UK at the age of 24 in 1986. He has not left the UK since, and he has no criminal convictions, okay? Okay, so this guy has not broken the law. He's not left the UK. He's always been in the UK since then, all right? He has had 2 strokes in 2019 that left him with speech and mobility issues. Now, if he had a criminal conviction, there might be more of an argument case to have him deported. Maybe. But there doesn't appear to be. And he's had 2 strokes, and that's... I know someone close to me who has suffered from strokes, and it's incredibly frightening to see somebody that that has strokes. And I don't know how many of you know somebody in your life that has suffered from strokes. It's a very scary thing, and especially for someone who doesn't have many friends and people around him, that's very concerning indeed. George has endured periods of homelessness and has said he has lost counts of a number of friends who have given him shelter over the years. He said he no longer has any close family in Nigeria. I don't know how many different sofas I've slept on. Too many to count, he said. So unfortunately, this person, has not had the best of life here in the UK. He's endured lots of periods of homelessness, and I'm assuming that his story is he's tried to get going, and it's just not worked out for him. When he's been trying to get picked up just to try and make something of himself, and it's just not worked out for him. For his life, unfortunately. And by the way, I really want to stress this. Not everyone can make it. Not everyone can be successful. Not everyone, that is the harsh reality of life. However, we have a system that doesn't give enough for people like Anthony, who just need to pick me up as well. And this is not a failure on charities as well. There's a look, because the charities already have enough on their plate, so I think it's important to add. So George has made various applications for leave to remain in the UK, which the Home Office have rejected. He said he was overjoyed to finally have the fear of deportation lifted after a judge's ruling. You see, this is where reform will come in, and that they will change the laws. So you know how we got the ECHR and the European Convention on Human Rights to protect us, right? Obviously, reform wants to scrap that. They will change laws to make a two-tier system for British citizens and non-British citizens. And it's non-British citizens who will not get judge rulings like this, because in the long term, reform will want to tear up the judicial system. I'm so happy and I don't know what to say, he said. My life has just begun again. Before I didn't have any hope, but now by God's grace I can move forward with my life. His previous solicitors submitted a forged entry stamp in his passport in 2005 and has subsequently been reported to the police and legal regulatory bodies. Wow. Previous solicitor tried to sabotage him. That's crazy. George said he knew nothing about the passport stamp until many years later. His current lawyer, Naga, of MTT Solicitors, cited his poor previous legal representation as the reason for George's problems resolving his immigration status. Home Office's rejection of his case before his successful appeal states, "It's open to your family and friends to visit you in Nigeria." This is the Home Office this is the Home Office basically saying, go back home. You can go and visit your go back home. You can go and visit family and friends in Nigeria. And it sounds like to me that they were trying to coax him to going back to Nigeria. And in doing so, they wouldn't allow him back in once he goes. Is the impression that I get here. The Immigration Tribunal judge who granted George the right to remain in the UK referred in his ruling to the fact that the solicitor who submitted the fake passport stamp has been struck off. That's good. The solicitor who done that got struck off. He said George has stopped going to see his GP because of fears about his immigration status. This is happening. This is going to be happening a lot as well. If it's not already happening enough, it's going to be happening even more. You will just have more and more people, sick people, more and more homeless people. Because people will not want to approach doctors or whoever if they have issues with their immigration status. It is unfortunate that the apparent went on to suffer 2 cardiovascular attacks, having refrained from going for health checks, the judge said, adding that George has been destituted while in the UK. Kaddish said, "My client has been living in limbo for almost 40 years, has suffered 2 strokes and has no family left in Nigeria. The situation is not just because of Home Office policies, it's also because of poor representation by previous solicitors who failed to uphold professional integrity and ethical standards. Despite several applications to our Home Office to review the matter, rather than proceeding to an oral hearing, our attempt were refused again and again by the Home Office, and the case went to a full court hearing. I'm overjoyed with the decision. He has waited for it for almost 4 decades. 4 decades it took. Like, I'm really happy that he finally got sorted. But it's going to be harder and harder for these stories. When you already have a ruthless, you have a ruthless Home Office in the Labour government because they're trying to look tough. Cases like this will infuriate the likes of GV News, Talk TV. They will get infuriated by stories like this because they will simply plaster this story on their papers or whatever, and they will say, here, it's because of the ECHR, it's blah 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 blah. This is why we need to get out of the Human Rights Act and all this kind of stuff. Because it's people like this who shouldn't be here, X, Y, Z, you know the rest. No person without a social security card, tax card or permanent residence can work here. It protects immigrants from exploitation too, says Ja. That's something that we don't have here. It's too easy. It's very easy to exploit people, unfortunately, here in the UK. We don't have something like that, unfortunately. The system is not very strong here when it comes to that. Ellie, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. And anybody else who's lurking in the chats as well. But, his appeal has been won. But, considering where we are going at the moment, it's very hard for me to think that he's going to be safe now. It's just a hard appeal for me to swallow. Speaking of bitter pills to swallow, I need to take this locket, guys, because my throat is absolutely killing me. So I do apologize, but I did, like I said, guys, I did get videos out for members already, but I've only got one left as well, which is not good. So I do apologize, but I do need to take it to keep my voice going for the show. Right, so the next story I've got for you guys, we're going to be talking about your party because there's been an update since I last talked about it. So Zarah Sultana has dropped the legal threat to reconcile with Jeremy Corbyn after the row. So the MP says she's determined to reconcile and move forward following the public spat in which she was accused of launching her own membership drive here. Good evening, Dame McGuinness. Hope you are doing well. Is you guys doing the show tomorrow? I looked around. I didn't see you guys doing a show. I'm assuming it's tomorrow, my friend. If you can let me know, I appreciate it. But do subscribe to the two Davies if you can, guys. If someone could pop a link in, it'd be greatly appreciated. So as far as your party is concerned, because that's the name of the party, I still think it's very much near on death edge at the moment. Now, I did see some videos of people I actually came across by the algorithm of YouTube. I came across supporters of your party and people desperate to try and salvage this party, desperate to keep it going. And I don't know what is being said behind closed doors, but here's what I will say. Yes, tomorrow 4 p.m. Okay, thank you for that, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, so they'll have a show tomorrow at 4 p.m, guys, just for those. And, of course, he'll have the paper review at 10:30 usual time on his channel. So, Zarah Sultana really, there has been a conscious... I've said that what she did was not helpful in terms of wanting to work things out. Now, I'm imagining that behind closed doors... she was not getting traction on things that she wanted to get done, is my assumption. And because she wasn't getting traction on things, she decided to take action into her own hands. Now, whatever you might think of her, whatever you might think of Jeremy Corbyn, whatever you might think of the rest of the MPs, if you are serious about this party, if you're serious about making it successful, and you're seriously about wanting it to achieve, you cannot go behind the back of everybody else. You just cannot do that. I get that she's desperate to see this succeed, desperate to get this going as quickly as can. But the reality is that building a political party takes a long time. There's a lot of process. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. I have no understanding of what it's like to make a political party and build that. There's a lot of systems to put in place. Look how long it took for the Green Party to start really embedding itself and where they are now. And this party that's not even official yet, right? They're looking to get off the ground so quickly and so fast. That's going to be very hard to do, even with all the people and all the ambition, all the talk and all that kind of stuff. Very, very hard. Very, very hard, yeah, for them. So, for Zarah, I think she was wrong to go public. I think she should have kept it behind closed doors. And I think she should have just been patient. I understand her point of view. I understand the sexism comments. I totally accept that premise. But if you really want this to succeed, you have to keep the dirty laundry out of the public domain. And that's one of the reasons why you don't hear a lot with some of the other parties. Conservatives and Labour are a bit different, but you don't hear a lot about it, too much about it from the Lib Dems, right? You don't hear too much about it from the Greens. And believe me, they have problems behind closed doors. Every political party does, everywhere. But you don't hear a lot about it because guess what? It's dealt with behind closed doors. And if they are a serious party, they need to deal with their shit behind closed doors. That's the reality is. Now, and if she wants this to succeed, she needs to start dealing with things behind closed doors. That's just it. Don't go behind the members' backs. Don't go making comments on Twitter, that kind of stuff. doesn't make you look good. Like, no matter how right she looks, no matter how right she is in her views and what she believes in, you know, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help the party's image. It's just going to make things look bad. And the way it's all been started, and we talked about this before, it's not been good as well. It takes decades for a new party to be relevant. It can take, it could take, decades. And the thing is that they're doing all this now when Reform are literally on the march to number 10. As of right now, they are on the march to number 10 because Labour are so shambolic right now. They're on the march to number 10 within the next couple of years if they get that. And when you hear Gary Stevenson saying that they are going to get the majority in number 10 right now, that's frightening, incredibly frightening. So they are not going to get this done quickly. They're just not. And unfortunately, if she's serious about this party, she's got to learn patience. And that's the reality of it. So Zarah Sultana has said she will not pursue legal action in a bid to repair the row that has engulfed her political party with Jeremy Corbyn. So Ms Sultana, who co-leads your party with the former Labour leader, initially said she tried to hire defamation lawyers following a public spat in which she was accused of launching her own unauthorised membership drive. The former Labour MP, who now represents Coventry South as an independent, admitted she launched the membership portal without her co-leader signing off, but she claims she did so because she had been sidelined by a sexist boys club. Her actions led to Mr Corbyn issuing his own statement in which he urged members of the party, which had been given the interim name of your party, to ignore an unauthorised email urging them to become paid members and that legal advice was being taken. A fresh statement issued on Sunday evening, Ms Sultana acknowledged her supporters had been left feeling demoralised by the saga. Well, again, this is why you keep it behind closed doors. For the sake of the party and as an act of good faith, I will not be pursuing legal proceedings despite the baseless and unsubstantiated allegations against me, she said. I don't know what allegations have been made against her. I don't know what they have said about her, as far as I'm aware on the Twitter feed. As far as the only unsubstantiated allegations is her claiming that it's a sexist boys club. Again, that's her words, not mine. And then many people are feeling demoralised. I share that feeling. We find ourselves in a regrettable situation where my motivation has always been to ensure the collective strength of our movement, put members first, and build the genuine democratic conference and socialist party that we urgently need. She added, I'm determined to reconcile and move forward. I am engaging with ongoing discussions with Jeremy, for whom, like all socialists of my generation, have nothing but respect. Your party got off to a shaky start when it was announced by Ms Sultana in early July, in a move that appeared to blindside Mr Corbyn. Yep. The pair confirmed the launch a few weeks later, sharing a link to the website called yourparty.co.uk. It was later clarified that it was an interim name and that the party members would decide a formal name. At its inaugural conference in the autumn, it's understood that there are still expectations the conference will go ahead, despite the public fallout last week. Despite current attempts to repair the row, the Your Party reported itself to the Information Commissioner Office last week after the false membership system was unilaterally launched by Ms Sultana, which she said was a duty under law. Questions remain over handling of the data, which, as outlined in Your Party's privacy notice, is owned by the Peace and Justice Project, spearheaded by the former Labour leader and independent activist Pamela Fitzpatrick, who were listed as the directors of Companies House. Coventry MP said in a statement after the row broke out that at no point whatsoever was members' data misused or put at risk, and that the portal was properly launched in accordance with the party's roadmap. But it wasn't done within the Your Party system. It was a separate system. The IOC watchdog, which holds information rights in the public interest, can issue fines up to 17.5 million or 4% of global turnover or pass fraud and negligent cases to police. Spokesperson for the ICL told Sky News on Friday, we can confirm we've received a report and we are assessing the information provided. Yeah, you don't want to be getting a fine of £17.5 million on a party that hasn't even started yet. That would have been brutal. Look, again, like that right now, for people, I really do stress this, get behind the Green Party. Right? I really can't stress this now. If you want a party on the left, get behind the Green Party. Get behind Zach Polanski. Yeah, is he perfect? No. Does he have some flaws? Absolutely. But he's the best thing we've got right now. And his party's not going to be perfect. Their policies are not going to be perfect. I don't agree with everything. But they are not going to BS you. They're going to be straight with you. So far, the Greens have been practically straight on a lot of things. And they have they've established over 800 councillors. And recently, the combination, they've reached over 76,000 memberships. 76,000 memberships they've reached now. And they are not, well, they're claiming that they've overtaken the Lib Dems in terms of membership, but that's only if you count the Scottish Greens in. But I do find that pretty embarrassing that they announced that today, especially after the Lib Dems just had their own party conference, and you're getting the Greens basically claiming they've got more memberships. I don't know. I think that's a bit exaggerating, but I know while people want to get behind this party, it's far too early. If you want to invest into the party, go right ahead. But if you want to get behind a party that is ready to hit the ground running, ready to make traction, make gains, fight for people, because that's what the Green Party will do. Will fight for people. They are ready to go. They're not like the Lib Dems that have lobbyists and still have conservative values and whatnot, because we know there are a lot of ex-conservatives switching and voters switching back and forth to the Lib Dems. You can't trust them. Labour are a dead duck. They've already been infiltrated by corporations, and the Conservatives are not sorry for what the damage that they have caused. So there is only one option, and that is the Green Party. So right now, it's best for people to get behind them and give them your vote, give them your support as best as you possibly can. And I mean this sincerely, even in areas where the vote share is not that high for them, I would still go ahead and put your vote behind them, because it will help. I know it's not possible for them to challenge for government. That's unrealistic. But every single local election, every single general election, give them the best they possibly can. Obviously, for my friends in Scotland, you guys know where your vote needs to go to on there. But Jal says our constitution is the great strength of our state, and we have the military, and we have the military that has the last offence of the constitution. It made the relevance of 74 that gave us back the republic. He's referring to Portugal, Jal, in the comments there. Witchygoth's YouTube channel. There's a link for Witchygoth in the YouTube channel as well there, if you guys want to check out her content as well. I'll be having her on next week. Not this week, but next week I'll have her on the channel as well. Looking forward to that talk. Because this Thursday it'll be myself and Angry Pagan for the EcoFlake show as well, guys. So if you guys want to join us for that, feel free to do so. I'm struggling with my voice, I'm not going to lie, guys. The next story it got, speaking of the Lib Dems. So the Lib Dems have a moral duty to defeat Nigel Farage, says Ed Davey. So I will say this. Because we did look at a lot of the news on the Good Morning. I will give a bit of credit to the mainstream media. They did have quite a few different stories on the Liberal Democrats over their conference, which is nice to see. But this is not a party that I really am not appealed enough to. I don't know what Ed Davey's trying his hardest to say tough things, but I just don't think they're going far enough. And the one thing that really put me off the Lib Dems, I did listen to a few things from their conference, but the one thing that really grind my gears was there was this moment at the conference where they were all waving union flags in the audience, and I was just like, once again, like, your heads are up the flag's backside. Like, that's not showing your patriotism. You putting a flag, waving a flag, or having a pin badge with the Union Jack and whatnot doesn't make you more of a patriot. So it's it's ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous. But we'll hear what Ed Davey has to say, because he says he believes he's the one to defeat Nigel Farage. Well, problem is he hasn't done. I haven't seen him on TikTok recently, have I? So, Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey has said his party has a moral duty to keep Nigel Farage and Reform UK out of power. Speaking to the BBC at the party's autumn conference, Sir Ed said voters were turned away from Labour and the Conservatives, and some were attracted by Reform. Yeah, no shit. However, he argued that the Liberal Democrats could be the alternative by offering radical change in tune with British values. Well, yeah, I think what comes to my mind when I figure the Lib Dems is just healthcare and social care, which is what you've been talking non-stop about. I'm sure you have more than that, but when I think of the Lib Dems, that's all I think of when it comes to my mind about them. In contrast, he said Farage wanted the UK to be like Trump's America. That is true. In last year's general election, the Lib Dems won 72 seats, while Reform won 5. However, in recent months, Farage's party has led opinion polls. So they told the BBC's political editor his party had momentum, but acknowledged that was not quite reflective in the polls as much as I would like to see. We have a challenge and we have got to take the fight to reform. Asked how he can win over reform voters, so Ed said people were worried about illegal immigration and that his party was urging the government to call a national emergency to deal with the backlog in processing asylum claims. This is not helping. This here, if we get rid of the asylum backlog and close the asylum hotels, I think that will reassure many communities. No, it won't. I said this about Labour, and I'm saying this about the dumbass Liberal Democrats here. It doesn't matter if you clear the backlogs. It doesn't matter if you close the hotels. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them because Nigel Farage will just deflect the conversation in somewhere else on it. He will find another reason to keep people angry and mad. It doesn't matter what Labour does. Labour can clear the asylum backlogs. Labour can clear the asylum hotels. People are still going to kick up a fuss. Doing this doesn't stop them being angry about people crossing on the boats. So his answer to reform is the same as Labour, which is bollocks. You're not going to win the argument. So he argued that in addition to immigration, voters were also worried about the cost of living. This is something that's not been talked about enough, the cost of living. He said the Lib Dems had policies which would bring down energy bills. What exactly are they? Lib Dems called for a bank and windfall tax to fund green energy home loans. Call for a windfall tax on big banks to fund home loans to install renewable energy systems. He said about £7 billion a year could be extracted by the end of the decade by taxing what she describes as unexpected profits. The banks has made as a trial result of high interest rates. Offer up loans of up to £20,000 for adults. Banking sector profits nearly doubled in recent years, less than 25 billion in 2019, almost 50 billion. Dumb. It could help. It's not bad. It's not too bad. I need to read more of it, but I'll leave it for the moment. But I'll let you guys decide on that. In his autumn conference in Bournemouth, the Liberal Democrats have been handing out Lego models of plastic patriot Nigel Farage. What is that going to do exactly? After his party was obsessed or frightened by Farage, so Ed said, "I'm certainly not frightened. The issue is we need to expose him." The issue is he does need to be exposed, but you need to take the fight to him on social media, not just on national television. I think the more he comes under scrutiny, the more he'll be seen to fail. So Ed argued that a reform government would make the UK more like Trump's America, adding, "I think that will be harsh and it's not true to the British values." He said his party offered the change that is in tune with those values to have a decent, caring country. He said that voters had lost trust in a Labour government that has failed with his party and could provide an alternative. Liberal Democrats have criticised BBC's coverage of Reform UK and accused the BBC news website of failing to provide enough scrutiny of Farage's party. We're seeing some improvements and long may it continue because the BBC has a really important role. That's why one of the reasons why Liberal Democrats have championed the BBC, and when it's not performing that role, it is not unreasonable for its people to call it out. A BBC spokesperson said the BBC is committed to achieving dual impartiality, which you fucking don't, in all of its output and gives appropriate levels of scrutiny to all political parties. When's the last time they covered the Greens? Answers on a postcard, please. Early Lib Dems made time on the main stage in Bournemouth for a debate on how they can take on Farage's party, featuring local councillors on its Reform Watch scrutiny team set up by Sir Ed after May's local election. They expressed hope that a focus on local issues Lib Dems will see as a traditional strength, which helped the party attract counter the attention reform has gathered nationwide. Do you want to know? There is a Twitter account that is doing far more than what the Lib Dems are doing in terms of exposing reform, and that is, if you're on the X, which many of you are not, there's an account called Reform UK Exposed, and I don't know who runs that account, but whoever does it does a bloody great job, almost on a daily basis, always finding stories to expose Reform UK for what they are, and it works around the clock, exposing them for what they are. That account's doing far more than Lib Dems. Like, don't get me wrong, they're saying the right things, but it's not going to wash with Reform voters. Like, there was nothing there that said to me, oh yeah, they're the ones that are going to deal with immigration. It's just not washing with me, guys. All mainstream media are too biased to Farage, and I don't know why, in my opinion. Because they want him as Prime Minister, Alison. They want him as Prime Minister because he will make good ratings. He will be the talk of the world. It will be good. It'll be good media. It's going to be good media for them. All the medias are going to benefit at the start. So I've said in videos that the likes of Sky News, BBC, Channel 4, what you're seeing in America, where certain medias are being restricted or not being allowed to talk to, you're going to start seeing that here in the UK when Farage comes to power. And you're going to see the likes of GB News, and you're going to see the likes of Talk TV, The Sun, The Express, The Daily Mail, The Telegraph. They're all going to get access to Farage. While the likes of Sky News, Channel 4, the BBC, they're going to get less and less coverage. They're going to be pushed back. They're not going to be able to go up and answer the questions like they used to. They're going to change the landscape of the media here. It's either you side with Farage or you're going to get cast aside. The whole impartiality thing is going to go. Fighting each other, we have our issues too, says Jal. What's that you guys saying? An immigration law like the one that we had most of Europe would benefit the UK, says Jal. It would indeed. But yeah, I mean, like, we'll see. We'll obviously see if the Lib Dems will do anything. They're only getting attention right now because of their conference, guys. So, anyways, we need a bit of we need to get away from it for a little bit, guys. I think we're more than halfway now through the live stream. We still got a couple of stories to cover. And we need some funny guys. We need some fun stuff, guys. So, who better than Garen? Our good friend from Ireland, Garen. Could always trust him. I thought he went to France. Whatever happened to that trip to France? He never did a video on it as well. But, hey-ho. Here he is with the most countries that I've ever made my enemy in one video. UK's not on there.
Another fucking victory for the Irish. Sixth freest country on the planet, and by fuck did we fight hard for it. Well, we fought hard for most of it. Sorry, what's that, America? What's that, land of the what? Land of the... I don't see on the list. What's so fucking free about Finland? When's the last time anybody even thought about Finland? Finland isn't free, it's just nobody can be bothered fucking oppressing it. Let's go and fucking take Finland! Why? I looked up what Finland is famous for. Being the world's happiest nation. Oh my god, you sound fucking insufferable. Listen, no offense Finland, but we had to fight very hard for 75% of this. Look at us, it just makes you want to get fucking colonial. Diet Australia has made the list. And Canada. Canada isn't even allowed to listen to fucking kneecap. I have the freedom to say whatever the fuck I want in Ireland. Barbecues are overrated. See? No consequences. Follow me. I'm delicious.
Diet Australia. That's so insulting. That is so insulting. They call New Zealand Diet Australia. That's the new one. Bloody hell, that is rude. Oh, that is terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh, dear. I am delicious, says Alison Key. Do check out Garen on the YouTube channel, guys. And if you're on TikTok, he's on TikTok there. Great stuff as well. Always get a good laugh with Garen, that is for sure, guys. And just a quick reminder, if you can, hit the like button, share across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. If you guys want to financially support me, you can leave a super chat down below. You're guaranteed to get your comment read as well. And do consider becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p as well. And I thank you guys for all being here. I really do appreciate it. Right, let's carry on, shall we, guys? I am planning to still go on Discord, by the way, after chat. We'll see. And don't worry, I've still got water with me if I need it. Right, so this one here, an exclusive from the iPaper. I've talked about this in the videos already, but in the past. But it's going to be interesting when it does happen. So Sir Keir Starmer is on a collision course with MPs who fear that send reform means austerity. So backbenchers are setting out their red lines over funding and children's individual legal rights, and they warned that a Send revolt could be bigger than the welfare reversal. Now, I don't know if it's bigger than it's going to be as big as the welfare reversal, but I've talked on this channel about, you know, my experiences and what I went through, and I was very fortunate that I got to go to a special needs school, that I was given the help that I needed. The classrooms were small, and everyone who worked at that school, you know, worked tirelessly. It was very stressful. But I came out a better person because of that school. And there will be a lot of children who will not have the opportunities to succeed if Labour decides to go ahead with this. This will put unimaginable strain on teachers when they already have enough shit on their plates as it is. When they're not even getting, as like, no matter how good their pay is, it's nothing compared to better getting paid somewhere else. And it's very hard for teachers right now. It's very stressful for them. And you want to send kids who have much severe problems than the average child in these classrooms to make it even more difficult. What exactly are you hoping to achieve here? I'll tell you what it is. It's not about helping the children, because that's not what this decision is about if they do go ahead with it. This is about the same fucking thing when it came to disability entitlements. This is about trying to save money, which is why you have the quotation of austerity. This is Morgan McSweeney shit again. And who does Morgan McSweeney answer to? Oh, no, he doesn't answer to Keir Starmer. No. He answers to Rupert Murdoch. Because that's why he was sitting next to him when Donald Trump came over and he had the lovely state banquet. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, yeah, Morgan McSweeney sitting next to Rupert Murdoch. But we should have known that anyway, shouldn't we, guys? So MPs have warned the government of a showdown over reforms to the special education needs system. They fear will cut back support for vulnerable children. Labour members saying they are gearing up to vote against changes that will take away services or reduce support, financial or otherwise, for pupils with SEND, special education needs and disabilities. Backbenchers have told the iPaper that their red lines would also include children losing their legal rights to funding and provision currently set out through the education, health and care plans. See, this sounds like, to me, this is nothing like the Labour government, like a Labour Party. This just sounds like the Conservatives. It's literally as my friends in Scotland say, you know, Tories with red ties. And this is, and I generally believe this. This is people who are in and around the top cabinet. This is not Labour MPs who are. This is not all Labour MPs. This is a lot of them in the back, sitting at the back here, who are in the back benches, scratching their heads thinking, what the bloody hell is this government doing? The MP's warning suggests that they could be on a collision course with ministers, despite Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's intense efforts to win Labour members over the need for SEND reforms due to be unveiled in a white paper this autumn. If the paper is unfair and unpopular, there'll be a lot of resistance in the Commons. There isn't any doubt about that. That is a guarantee, one Labour MP said. I think that they may try to cover up the full details of the report. They may try to cover up the full details. And it'd be once the full details are out, that's when the anger will come. It's understood that ministers are looking to face down individual EHCPs, and they have said that they want to move towards a SEND system where most needs are met with mainstream rather than special schools. And this is, again, like, a part of this also sounds that they're going to turn perhaps special schools into just normal schools to try and make up the numbers of the shortages of kids that we have as well. Because we obviously have a crisis where we don't have enough kids in classrooms as well. Plans come against a backdrop of the rapidly accelerating costs. In October, the National Audit Office warned that the current SEND system It's financially unsustainable, with soaring demands and a 140% rise in EHCPs since 2015, leaving more than 2/5 of local authorities at risk of effective bankruptcy. Also comes as Chancellor Rachel Reeves prepares a budget in which she said she is expected to be forced to put up taxes to plug an unexpected physical black hole. But, you know, we can't ask the rich to pay more. That would just be too much, guys. One Labour MP said any sense that Send reforms were being used as another vehicle for austerity would lead to them opposing them. That would obviously be a major area of concern for myself and others, they told the paper. The potential for trouble for Keir Starmer's government was underlined again last week when 25 MPs and staff representing a further 15 attended a packed drop-in session in which they were able to discuss the potential reforms with parents of children with Send. The event, coordinated by Fight for Ordinary campaign, led by charities The Send Sanctuary, Let Us Learn Too, and the Disabled Children's Partnership, also saw New School Minister Georgia Joy meet with a handful of patients, and more than 750 families attended the rally in Parliament Square on the day. It was held last Monday, the day of Westminster's Hall debate on special needs, held in response with a petition of more than 127,000 signatures, calling for the retention of the legal rights to support the children with Send. A Labour backbencher said the large number of MPs participating summed up the concerns about the reforms across the political piece. Quote, I've been an MP 15 years and never seen so many people in Westminster Hall debate, they said. There's more than 120 people in that debate, most of whom they wanted to speak. Very rarely on any issue would you get anything like as many people into a Westminster Hall debate. Ministers have also been warned about the changes to the Send system and the need to protect pupils' legal rights by the cross-party Commons Education Select Committee. In a report last week, the MPs wrote that current levels of EHC plans are unsustainable. However, the solution to this cannot be to remove the statutory entitlements from a system which lacks accountability in many other areas and which the parents already have so little trust and confidence. The government has been concerned about the potential for Send to turn into welfare reform Mark II. A repeat of the damaging backbench rebellion earlier this year that led to the gutting of the benefits changes that it wanted to make. It was forced to water down to the personal independent payment system after more than 120 Labour MPs were reportedly poised to vote against the party's own bill. It is understood that ministers had originally been planning to unveil the Send plans in the spring, but Downing Street got cold feet as the welfare controversy raged, worrying that anything could be framed as disabled kids lose rights would go down like an absolute lead balloon. Yeah. Because they're trying to look for ways that they can cut without making it obvious that they are cutting. This is exactly what this is coming across to me. It's not good, guys. So now Labour MPs are warning a revolt over Send could be even bigger. Neil Duncan Jordan, who was suspended from Labour after criticising and voting against the welfare reform, said, if we don't get this right, we're in for another load of dissent and disagreement, because every constituency has got Send families. Every MP has got Send families who write to them. Doesn't matter what political colour you are, you're getting those families through. They're all nervous, they're all worried, they're all concerned. I'm hoping we can avoid it, but potentially, yes, we're in for another showdown. He added that the Send Westminster Hall debate had illustrated the strength of the feeling among MPs and suggested that there could be more of a backlash than for welfare. Every time we've had a Send debate in here, it's been packed, he said. That tells me that MPs of all colours want to get in, want to have their say. Well, that probably means that they've got views about how they think it should work or not, and they've got to vote accordingly. Jen Craft, a Labour MP with a daughter with Send, said constituents were worried about the loss of legal rights. It would be unnecessary, I think, to remove parents' rights to an EHCP or to have a legal framework to back up what their kids need at school, she said. Craft said that her daughter currently gets support guaranteed by an EHCP, and she would be concerned that if this did not exist. The question I get asked myself is, would I be happier for her to not have that written out in a legal document, she said. The answer is no. We still need to have those legal safeguards in place for parents. Legal safeguards, guys. You know, this is the kind of thing that I can see Reform doing. And yet we're getting this from Labour. Craft shares she was talking extensively to ministers, including the Education Secretary, to share her views. She doubted whether MPs will revolt in the same way they did over welfare, saying, I think everyone's determined that it doesn't become that. But another Labour backbencher who wished to remain anonymous said that the send could be a bigger problem for the government than the welfare. I'm still sceptical about it, but let's just hear them out. Or he or she. The welfare issue is more widespread because there's lots and lots of people who depend on that, they said. This is more acute. This is to do with people who need an up in life. The parents, the families, the siblings, they all need support. Absolutely. We've talked about this. You know, people do need an uplift. I'll not be supporting anything that would cut resources or any financial support for special education needs kids, no matter what the consequences are. I'll not support any cuts to the budget which might impact upon kids who need support. Not just they need it, but deserve the support that we can give. Daddy, that resistance could come from right across parties against any move for a reduction in support for send individuals. I wonder how Reform would feel about this. Like, would they vote against it as well, though? Cutting through stealth. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Keir. I've always wanted to include... you're talking about something else there. I am a Republican, a real one, not an American, a kind of anarchist or free thinker, says Jow there. Another Labour MP who wished to remain anonymous said their red line would be against a white paper that was utilised as a form of austerity. They also said any backlash would come down to whether the reforms resulted in cuts to the service. Sometimes something might look good, they said, but the reality is that it masks the fact that the services are going to be basically diminished by having less funding. I don't want to see that for special education needs, they told the iPaper. They said discussions and negotiations were the first port of call, but added ultimately further down the tracks, you may well choose to vote, to vote against something. Asked whether Labour rebel numbers could be similar to welfare, they said, I don't think I'm alone in not wanting more austerity. The Department of Education has sought to allay fears about cuts with a promise to protecting existing send support, saying any changes that we will make will improve support for parents and children, stop parents from having to fight for support, and protect provisions currently in place. But in July, the then school minister, Cathy McKell, who led on send, qualified that reassurance, telling the Commons Education Select Committee that the government would not remove effective current provisions that are working for children and young people. DfE spokesperson said the government inherited inherited a terrible system, we're going to fix it, plan for change, invest bundles of money, we'll support children, pretty much is what they're saying. So they're not saying no and not saying yes, is what they're saying there. Yeah, I'm very, very concerned, guys. I generally think this is Morgan McSweeney. I don't think this is what the government wants. I think this is them trying to cut from the education budget. And they're trying to do it in such a way that it doesn't look like austerity, that it doesn't look like they're cutting, is what they're trying to do. Because they're trying to justify, and the argument that they're going to make is we have to raise, like, we got this physical black hole we need to make again. And it's just like, you're treating us like a bunch of fucking muppets, like we're talking about children here. First the disabilities. Now you're talking about the kids. You're talking about kids here who need the most support more than ever before in what is really difficult times right now. And you want to cut that, or you want to merge it with normal schools. Like, are you out of your goddamn fucking mind? Which is exactly how it comes across here. It's very, very concerning. I generally mean this, I hope that this is all false, and that they actually have a concrete plan, and that they're not changing send, and they're actually investing more money in, and they're actually giving a concrete plan of how to help children. That's my hope. I generally hope that's the case. I hope that it is, and that this story is wrong, and that they generally care. Let's hope that, rather than just thinking, oh, it's all doom and gloom. But if obviously they do, well, it's going to be hard for them to win over people. Like, even if they try to be tough on Labour MPs, they're going to get from their constituents. They're going to be saying to them, I can't do it because I will get kicked out. Like, I will get kicked out and you will have a Reform MP replace me at the local elections. And that's the message they will need to say. Like, if you go ahead with this, I will get kicked out. Like, that's the message they need to say to them when they think they can go ahead with it. The next piece I've got for you guys is one from Byline Times. I saved. I had an interesting piece at the I was originally going to have this as the last story, but the one I've got at the end is actually an interesting one. I wanted to have a good chat with you guys about. So, where is the opposition to Nigel Farage's immoral mass deportation plan? Keir Starmer's government refusal to explicitly condemn the reform leader's plans to tear thousands of families and communities apart is only clearing his path to Downing Street, argues Adam Biancoff. It was only today, like a couple of hours ago, I think Reform Labour actually, like Labour's Twitter account basically went on the attack on Farage, basically saying they're making numbers that don't even add up. They've been withdrawn. Now, they say where the opposition is. We know it's not Labour because Labour don't have a spine in this. And the reality is it doesn't matter. And I've said this already. It doesn't matter what Labour does. Unfortunately, the strongest opposition we have, and it's not a very good one, is the Green Party. Because right now they don't have enough MPs. And they're not getting as much coverage as Reform UK. The Conservatives are fucking useless. Labour are going to be getting the firing line at the next general election unless they pull out a miracle out of their backside. The Lib Dems are just Lib Dems, and hopefully the SNP can regain power in Scotland, but regain power. I say become the third largest party again. But even in Wales right now, there's going to be. It looks like that it's not going to be Labour. That it's going to be Plaid Cymru and Reform in control of the seed. Is it seed? The seed? I hope I said it right. At the Welsh election there, and the Hollywood elections obviously is going to be very fascinating to see how Reform does in that. You expect the SNP to keep control. Scott, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. But time will tell on these things, guys. So Nigel Farage on Monday has announced plans to deport hundreds of thousands of people living and working legally in the UK. So his plan is to force those already granted indefinite leave to remain to reapply under much stricter rules that would put the future of many thousands of neighbours, relatives and friends and colleagues in doubt. Across the thousands of families, communities, public service and businesses risk being torn apart. Yeah, essentially, basically, every communities out there that we have, the diverse range of multiculturalism that we have, Nigel Farage wants to destroy all that. He wants to destroy all of that. He doesn't value British values. He wants to destroy British values. He wants to destroy his English values. That's essentially what he wants to do. Like, there are wonderful communities out there that do amazing things. He wants to rip that up with these plans. Almost nobody would be spared from the plan. Thousands of Ukrainians giving refugees for Putin's invading army would face having to return, as would thousands of people welcomed from Hong Kong. Nor would be any expectation for those who have lived here happily and legally for decades. If those people get sent back to Hong Kong, do you honestly think, they're going to be fine? Considering what China have been doing, the power that they've been putting over Hong Kong. It's only because of the signed agreement that the UK had with China and with Hong Kong on it. It's only a matter of time for Hong Kong cease to exist. It's just going to become a part of China. And then what? What, you're going to send these people then back? Where are they going to go then? Like, Hong Kong is going to cease to exist, guys, as a nation. It's going to cease to exist. And all it's going to be doing is become another province, another state of China. That's essentially what it's just inane there. And you want to send those people back there? Especially some of them who could be wanted by China because some of them tried to stand up to authority in that country. Are you absolutely out of your mind? And as for Ukraine, like I don't know how fucking insane you need to be here, but I don't expect the war to be ending anytime soon. My position has changed on it. I was kind of hoping that Trump maybe would speed things up on it, but he's done fuck all on it. Where are they supposed to go? He's not applying any logic here. And then you have the Afghans. Afghanistan, for example. Well, he said he's prepared to work with the Taliban. So it doesn't matter what the situation Afghans are in. He's just going to send them back. It doesn't matter if they get tortured, if they get killed, if they get hung. It's not his problem. He don't give a shit. Under his plans, even those granted to leave to stay by a Farage, the government could lose their rights to benefits, NHS care and other support. This is the one that infuriated me the most. He wants to take away healthcare. A legal right that every single human should have. It should be a legal right. Anywhere you are in the world, everyone should have access to healthcare. Money should not be a factor when it comes to your health and your need. Your health should not be a factor. And he wants to make people who are non-UK citizens basically saying, "Oh, you want healthcare? You're paying out of pocket. You're not getting free healthcare." You can find yourself in a situation. What you'll find yourself in a situation is where NHS. You could find yourself in a situation where the NHS is treating people, and then they realise that that person they've treated isn't a British citizen. And then what? They're going to have to basically, after saving their life or something, they're going to say, "Oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to be sending you a massive bill. You'll have to pay out of pocket for, like 10 grand or something." Like, that's the kind of shit that happens in America. He's going to start with non-UK citizens. Then he'll go to UK citizens when it comes to the NHS. It is, in short, an abomination, and an abomination of which the polls are to believe could be heading our way in just a few short years' time. The plan did receive immediate condemnation from some quarters. London's Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan described it as unacceptable, saying that they have a legal right and they are friends, neighbours and colleagues and contribute hugely to our city. Threatening to deport people living and working here legally is unacceptable. A handful of Labour backbenchers publicly agree with Labour MP Sarah Owen, condemning it as morally abhorrent and dangerous. Yet, to listen to the actual government and its representatives today, you get the impression that the real problem with the policy is merely an administrative one. Asked what the Prime Minister's response to the proposal, a spokesperson for Keir Starmer said that the only thing he thought was unworkable, unrealistic and unfunded. That's too robotic. That's so robotic, unworkable and unreasonable enough. Like, if Keir Starmer actually did a speech and said, "This is the biggest load of fuck..." Imagine Keir Starmer actually came out and said, "This is the biggest load of fucking bollocks that I've ever heard in my life." Like, imagine him actually come out and swore and actually said that. Like, that would get him more headlines. That would actually make people stand up and say, "What? The Prime Minister swore on national television." Like, imagine if he actually did that. It would get so much more traction. Political spokesperson agreed. Labour Chair Anne Tony merely describing Farage's mass teacher plans as half-baked because they rely on discrediting numbers. Reform have been forced to admit that their policy does not apply to people from the EU. Destroying Farage claims that it covers all foreign-born nationals, he said. Like, again, like I've talked about it, you can poke holes all you want of it, but people are still going to buy into it. And remember, there's a lot of people out there who aren't voting reform necessarily because they are racist or bigots. It's because they have no belief whatsoever in Labour or the Conservatives. They're not going to turn to Lib Dems because Lib Dems are kind of pointless. And they don't know enough about the Greens. They hear about reform all the time, which is why they're going to put their faith in reform. So no real condemnation of the principle of mass deporting hundreds of thousands of people. No real appeal to the people whose futures are now in doubt, and no reassurances that their future will always be secure under a Labour government. For a government led by a man who was elected as leader on an explicit pledge to defend migrants' rights, this feels like an incredibly weak response, yet it by no means a new one. For years now, Labour under Keir Starmer has refused to explicitly condemn the lurch to the far right taken by both Reform and the Conservatives on immigration. When the last Conservative government announced its plans to mass deport refugees to Rwanda in order to end the so-called invasion on our southern coast, there was no explicit moral condemnation from Labour's representatives of either the rhetoric or the principle. Instead, the party merely suggested that the plan was too expensive and unworkable. The exact same criticism they are now making of Farage's plans for the mass deportations of legal residents too. This is not an accident. Under the Blue Labour strategy of Starmer's Chief of Staff Morgan Sweeney, any combination of anti-immigration policy as being immoral or fundamentally wrong is verbatim. I don't know what that word means. Instead of such policies can only ever be criticised in practical terms as either being unworkable, unpractical, or worst of all, unfunded. Occasionally, government representatives are permitted to go slightly further, as they did today, by condemning their opponents for being diverse, yet in doing so they merely further highlight their own reluctance to ever make an explicit moral judgment. By saying something is decisive, they dodge making a judgment about which side of the divide that they come down upon. Perhaps we agree with Farage's view on mass deporting British residents. Perhaps we don't. But shouldn't he stop being so divisive about it? They seem to say. There are many problems with this approach. The first and most important thing is a betrayal of the Labour Party's tradition of standing up to the marginalised and oppressed. If a Labour government led by a former human rights lawyer can explicitly condemn a plan for arbitrary mass deportations, then what on earth can it do? The second main problem is that it merely legitimises the arguments of their opponents by refusing to ever criticise the anti-migrant policies of Reform and the Conservatives, while repeatedly flirting with such politics themselves. Starmer's party are essentially conceding the argument to their opponents. Strategy is just saying Farage is basically right, but he's not as competent as us, and it's always going to be a losing one. Those attracted to the anti-migrant policies of Farage are not likely to be won over by appeals for a weaker but more competent alternative. It doesn't have to be this way. While public anti-migration sentiment has been rising in recent months, the sort of proposals put forward by Farage would in practice be likely be deeply unpopular. As we have already seen in the United States, while many voters may support the idea of sending them back, they often hate the reality of what that entails. Ask an average British person whether they want lower migration, and they will probably agree. But don't ask them whether they want their friends, neighbours and colleagues and teachers and doctors woken in the dead of night to be bundled into vans and put on deportation planes, and you're likely to get a very different response. See, you can put that to them, but you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, nah, that's not what... Nigel Farage is not going to do that. And then it's going to happen. And then they're going to be like, oh, oops. Similarly, while many voters may support the idea of deportation in the abstract, they're highly unlikely to support the realities of public service and business going to the wall, due to staff shortages on a scale never before seen in the post-war era. These may be difficult arguments for politicians to make, but they are essentially ones in order to prevent what would happen if Farage was to ever get his way. By refusing to ever explicitly make them, Starmer and his government are only increasing the likelihood that one day he will. Sad reality, but I think Adam is quite right here in his piece, because we're not, they are not saying what needs to be said, this Labour government. Weak, spineless is a good term to describe them. I think many people have said that many times about them. And they're not paying attention. They are not paying attention. And they are walking, they're literally giving the keys to them. I am very scared if Reform come into power. I'm very scared. And not just that, guys. I'm scared. I'm not just worried about immigrants. I'm worried about my free speech. And I'm worried about everyone else's free speech in the whole of the UK. Because if you criticise Reform, criticise their government, how much of that will they try to crack down on? Because it's not impossible to say that they can't do that. And it's very frightening indeed. Yes, I remember the hand back during the annexation. This is person impersonator. You guys talking about something else there. China said to us that they would like to have... Okay, you guys are talking about something. I don't know what you guys are talking about there. But you guys are talking about something completely irrelevant. Be nice if you guys are talking about the subject, but obviously you guys have your own conversations going on there. But yeah, it's very frustrating indeed. I do have one story that I would like you guys to engage in this last conversation, if you can, guys, rather than your own conversations, if you wouldn't mind. This one actually I do want to talk about, and it's not a political one, guys. It's a social one here, and I really would like to get your feedbacks on this, guys. So, how your bedtime may be fueling your social media addiction. So those who prefer to go to sleep at night are significantly more at risk of developing smartphone and social media addiction. I think this is quite an interesting one. So generally, I'm not going to BS you guys, and generally you guys are more than welcome to share in your comments below about this piece here. I now go to sleep looking at my phone. And I wake up to find my phone on my bedside, and my missus has to take the headphones out of my ears because the phone knocks me out. Very rarely now do I go to bed and not me staring at my phone. Almost very rarely now. Do I have a social media addiction? I'm going to say yes. I do feel I have a social media addiction. My phone actually tells me, I don't know how many of you actually, your phones tell you how long you've been on your, tells you actually to pop. I get a pop-up every week from my phone, every Monday. I think it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock or something. My phone pops up and it tells me what my average viewing time is. And my last one was I average more than 6 hours. Average more than 6 hours a day on my phone. Now I'm going to be honest, I think that's a lot more than what I think I average more than that, which is quite bad. I will say obviously that I guess it technically counts now because I am using my phone to read your guys' comments in the chat as well. So we were talking about Maru and Mashu. I don't know who Mashu is, Jal, so I wouldn't know anything about him. There. But I do think I think it leads to a social media addiction. Yeah, I do, because I think and I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure a lot of people now will just stare at their phones until they fall asleep. And obviously some people do that on the couch and whatever because they're doom scrolling or whatnot. I do think it's a problem. I think it's really hard to just. One of the other things as well that people they have said this as well is that it's so important to not have to have your, because I don't know how many of you have notifications on, but I'm very limited on the notifications I have on my devices. And both my iPhone and my iPod, because I have an iPod here for those who are curious. This is my this is not a phone, but this is an iPod here. But it works just like a phone. The only thing it doesn't do is calls or texts. But it works literally much like a phone. It's like a backup for other social media and stuff, right? And I use this to watch the Twitch chat as well. If I ever get Twitch chat as well. But I have that and I have the phone, right? But both these devices have cases where they close. So I can close the lid on them. That is very significant for me, because the one thing I do not want is my phone lighting up at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 1 o'clock in the morning, because because light obviously makes you wake up, and you obviously because obviously one of the things that we as humans are used to seeing, when light beams into your house or whatever at a certain time in the morning, tends to wake you up. It's like it's morning time. Your phone lights up. Sometimes it wakes you up. Obviously sounds do. But sometimes the light on your phone from a notification in the middle of the night, that can wake you up. So I think one of the hardest things to do is to just turn that phone around and leave it flat, and not leave it flat. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone, but I do think it's a problem. Thank you for popping in, Billy. Much appreciated. And if anyone wants to leave any super chats today, it'd be greatly appreciated as well. I know I'm pulling legs here, but yeah, anything today would be really nice. But let's have a read into this more, and then I'll have a look at some of your comments regarding this, guys. So people who are night owls have a much higher risk of developing an addiction to their smartphones compared to those who go to sleep earlier. A new study has found. I'm going to say yes. I don't even need to look at a study on this to say that if you are up late at night, you're going to be looking at your smartphone more than any other time. And I tend to sit on my bed like quite a fair bit, and then I just nod off normally. So apologies for the adverts behind me. I can't get rid of them, guys. So scientists have discovered that many who stay up in the evening, who show symptoms of loneliness or anxiety, are using smartphones to cope emotionally and developing addictions to social media, worsening their mental health system. You're being addicted to social media. Oh my God, all these adverts are driving me crazy. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can do something about it, because is there anything I can do? 1 second, guys. I'm going to try something. Let me see if I can. Aha! Yeah, that's better for you guys. There you go. So you ain't got that crap in there. Yeah, I do think. Yeah, looking at your smartphones and whatnot, I do think that's linked to it, especially if your subject is something that's consistently negative as well. That can also play a phone. But my phone is where I store music and videos, and I lay down and rest and watch it or listen to it. I like horror movies up in the late 80s, or other type of movies, and those boring history documents that I love. Doesn't own a phone, so hurrah for me. So what are you watching, Scott? Are you watching on the TV or on what are you watching on then, Scott? If you don't own a phone, just out of curiosity, are you watching on a laptop or computer? Generally curious. I thought most people will watch or listen on their phones. Generally curious. So researchers from the University of Portsmouth and the University of Surrey described the issue as a vicious cycle. Primarily affects young adults in the UK. These young people aren't using technology just because it's available, said Dr. Anna Stigma, studies co-author. They're using it to try and soothe emotional discomfort. Tragedy is often deepens their distress instead. Young adults who are naturally more active in the evening often find themselves socially out of sync, which may lead to feelings of loneliness and anxiety. Many of them turn to smartphones and social media to cope. But unfortunately, these tools can make things worse, not better. Problematic smartphones use is defined as a feeling of anxiousness when separated from one's phone. You know what? That is true. Sometimes, it's very rare, but even when I pop to the shops, I still feel I have to take my phone with me to count my steps for the day, right? But there have been one or two times where I've gone to the shops without taking my phone, and it makes me feel very, very naked. How often do you leave your phone? Do you go out without your phone and you feel naked? I don't expect you guys to be honest, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of you felt that way too. Because it literally is a part of you. Because this phone is also, this phone in front of me, this is what I do to record short videos as well on the channel. Like, if I didn't have this phone, I wouldn't be able to do those short videos, guys. Well, guys, you know that, right? Like, that's how crazy it is. That our phones are not just devices, not just access social media, but they are also money makers as well. They can make money for us. Like, that's how it is. It's so many things. And it's also dangerous as well. Likewise, social media addiction is characterized by excessive and uncontrollable phone use that disrupts daily life. Yep, that's true. Yes, I'm definitely guilty of that. The research surveyed 407 young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 and investigate how they preferred sleep schedules were related to problematic smartphones or use of social media addiction. It found that loneliness and anxiety were the primary causes of the association, which may lead to why we have also the power of social media over the last decade or so is why we have an increase in mental health as well. That can be also another factor as well. While we've known that night owls are more vulnerable and problematic technology use, we haven't understood why. Now we're seeing that emotional factors, especially loneliness, are playing a significant role. Yeah, if people are alone, if they don't have a partner, if you're living alone, your phone is your gateway to friends and people you can find out in the world. Previous research shows that going to sleep later is linked to depression and other addictive behaviors. Sometimes when we visit family, you'll see when the family come over. Last time I went up to my parents and we had family coming over, none of us stared at well, I don't think many of us even looked at our phones too much, to be fair. Because we were all talking to each other. But sometimes when I go up to visit my parents and me and my partner, we stay over the night because they have an extra bedroom. There are times like we're talking, and then there's times where we're all sitting on the sofa and we're all staring at our phones. Not all the time, but it's just a case of it's like part of a routine thing where you look at your phone. But then there's parts where I'm not looking at my phone and we're having conversations, sort of thing. I don't know how many of you have that, but I'm generally curious what you guys say about that. Nearly 40% of students in the UK are believed to exhibit signs of social media addiction, with young women being particularly vulnerable. Liberal Democrats have called for a doom scrolling cap, which would legally limit the amount of time that children are allowed to be on TikTok style to 2 hours. The Times reported that Labour ministers are seriously considering implementing a social media use cap for children and are expected to announce a change in the coming weeks. Study researchers have called for a target education and support system for young adults who do not understand how their sleep patterns are placing them at risk. Dr. Simon Evans, co-author for a study, said, rather than simply telling young people to spend less time on their phones, we need to address the reason behind their usage. This means providing effective strategies to manage loneliness and anxiety, particularly during late evening hours when support services are limited and feelings of isolation can be the most intense. I do think there is definitely some cause for this, but I do think it's a very cause for concern indeed. I think, not having your mobile phone can be really problematic for a lot of people. So let's have a look and see what you guys are saying in the chat. I have a good Android and it's more than enough, says Jal. Yeah, I've got a feeling one day I'm going to have to go back to Android. I don't really want to because I do like my Apple phones, but they are expensive and they're going to be getting more expensive as time passes on. We had that in the 80s, no phones, so we will fight, says Simon Smith 55. Good to see you there, Simon. Hope you're doing well if I didn't say hello before. Person, I was in Luxembourg, I listened to one of the old military surplus. Pete needs to talk about something else. Going into the woods is a religious thing for me to do. You're right, Jal. That's why my walks, when I go for my walks, I'm not staring at my phone. Unless I'm doing a Speaking My Mind, unless I'm recording some Speaking My Mind episodes, which I'm not, if I do Speak in My Mind, I'm going to do it on one walk and I'm going to try and record 3, maybe 4 in one go. But most of the time, I'm either listening to music or just listening to nothing and just walking, not actually looking at my phone. It's really important to not look at my phone when I'm out on those walks. In the habit of having a phone with me all the time, to be honest. Yep. That's normal, Alistair. That's just normal. Person, when I was 14, I used to have a small translator radio and listen to Radio Luxembourg until the small hours before phones. As a drop off late and always have. Yeah, because it was something you like to listen to. It's the same thing where people, before phones as well, people used to have the CD-ROMs or cassette players or whatever. Used to put them in your headphones or whatever, and you would just fall asleep listening to that as well, because people wanted distractions. I am sorry, but some people are night owls. I do not sleep more than 4 to 6 hours. I cannot go early to bed, or else I'll be awake by dawn, says Jal. It's different. It's everyone's sleep patterns, I am having my issues with bloody Google, trying to find a way to solve it, but I refuse to renounce my rights. Canny, but we'll do other day, payday. Don't be silly, Kia. I'm not. You can't do every super chat and gifting membership. Don't be silly, buddy. So that's fine. My phone, but my phone is where I store music and video. Yeah, I said that already. Sorry. I had Walkmans and Discrements. Yeah, Walkmans. Oh my god, those were the days. Ellie, what are you talking about there? I was at a car accident yesterday. As a passenger, I shouted, "Look out!" and a woman opened her driver's door without checking. At least she admitted liability. Jesus. I hope you're okay. Yeah. I hope you're okay, Ellie, and nobody's seriously harmed in there. I had walnuts and Discments. Were they like old cassette players, Joe? I'm trying to remember. Maybe. No, I'm trying to remember. I gave out my cassettes and vinyls, says Scott. Yeah. You can actually in HMVs they still have like the old vinyls. in HMV stores. You can still find them here, to be fair. So, which is pretty cool as well. So, guys, before we head out, I'm gonna be on Discord for a little bit. I'll probably just be about half an hour till about 10 o'clock, and then I'm gonna stop, and then I'll hop off. But if you guys want to pop on Discord for a little bit with me, you can do. I'm gonna take this hat off for you guys, and luckily I landed it where I wanted it to land. But we got one funny video to see ourselves out. Before I go, just to remind you guys, I'll be live again tomorrow with another Good Morning Show at 11 a.m. So if you guys can join me for that, feel free to do so. Also, I'll be live at 6 o'clock for another global news live stream. So if you could join me for that, feel free to do so as well. I haven't seen any plans for PMQs, so it should be just Good Morning Shows. And then on Thursday, Thursday will be myself and One Angry Pagan. Like I said, I don't know if I'll be able to record Rumble or Patreon videos tomorrow. Depends how my voice goes. Like, for all I know, my voice could get worse tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and see. But don't leave just yet, guys. As I said, we got one funny video to see ourselves out. It is an American one, but, you know, we like to have a bit of fun as well. Can't go wrong with Maggie Reed, can you, guys? So here is Maggie Reed here. Can we switch it over? Thank you. And this one is entitled Trump Attacks Free Speech. Not gonna work, asshole. You know it's gonna be good when she says that.
Donald, question over here.
Quiet. You're really obnoxious.
I know you are, but what am I?
Frankly, you're a terrible reporter.
Well, that's not true, but you have the right to say that because of...
Freedom of speech.
That's right, freedom of speech, the First Amendment. You ever heard of it? Why are you trying to censor the media and police free speech?
I'm a very strong person for free speech. At the same time...
Here we go. At the same time, what?
The newscasts are against me.
Yeah, well, most people are.
See, I think that's really illegal, personally.
Personally, no, it's not illegal. Do you need a copy of the Constitution, or can you not read?
When somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech, that's no longer, that's just cheating.
You think it's cheating if comedians, reporters, the media express negative opinions on you, report on facts, or call you on your bullshit?
I become immune to it.
Clearly you are a thin-skinned little bitch and you are not immune to it. You're attacking free speech. What, you don't like when people call you names?
I guess,
What exactly don't you want people to call you?
incompetent.
Uh-huh.
Crazy.
I mean...
A loser.
Well...
Stupid president.
A stupid president indeed.
I almost know what they mean.
Well, I know what it means. All those things are true, and you are a dictator that's violating the Constitution.
I wish you'd speak more clearly, I really do. Give it to me again.
You're a fucking fastener, a sycophantocrat fascist.
I don't know what that means.
I bet you don't, and I even made up one of those words.
Explain it to me.
It means you are a wicked, power-clinging dictator that is propped up by ass-kissers. You literally took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, and you're not doing that. You're literally the enemy of our country.
It sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, there are a lot more of us than you.
It could be big trouble.
Oh, it will be, asshole. You can't silence us, the media, or comedy.
Well...
Oh yeah, we'll protest and we'll boycott any company that's complicit in your attacks on free speech.
Sort of like war.
Fascist dictator says what?
What?
Fuck you. Oh, and we haven't forgot about the Epstein files.
Oh, that was good, guys. That was so good. That was so good. I think I said that to Daily Blase as well. I'll need to check if I haven't sent it to him. I'm going to send it to him as well, because that's worth listening to once again. Because I thought she absolutely rinsed him. She rinsed him, rinsed Donny to bits there, guys. Oh, that was so good, wasn't it, guys? So I want to say, guys, thank you guys all so much for coming along. No super chats or gifted memberships, unfortunately, today. Maybe tomorrow will be better. But I really do appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you guys for contributing in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the moderators as always. I hope you guys have a great week going ahead. Do take care of yourselves. We'll look at the weather again as usual tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'll be back live. But if you want to pop on for a little bit with me on Discord, I will pop on for a little bit for about half an hour. Just for a little chat. If you guys want to have a quick wee chat on there, you can do. But yeah, but appreciate you guys all being here, and I hope you found today's live stream informative, useful to you. It's really important. Really important. I'm not going to be, like I said, I was going to originally do an hour, Jow, but I'm only going to do half an hour on Discord. But I wanted to come on I'll be on there anyway, so I'll let you guys do the talking if you come on Discord anyway. So on there as well. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your evenings, whatever you guys have got planned. But just before you go, just have one last question if you can. Before you go, guys, hit that like button. Share this across social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon as well. And if you want to, you can join Discord community. You can find me across all other different social medias. The links are down below as well. Obviously, of course, if you can financially support, feel free to do so. If you can't, all those usual things, as I've mentioned, I greatly appreciate. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.